Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel and happy holidays to y'all. Hopefully everything's going well. I can't say everything's going well for me yet because I haven't gotten to that point because it's early December for me, but I'm just trying to get as much done as I can so I can enjoy the rest of the month without stressing out too much like I have been lately. So yeah, today we're going to work on the Optonica RT-6405, the direct drive two-header that I got and I keep forgetting about for some reason. But before we get to this tape deck, I just wanted to give you a little update on the Denon DR-M3. Apparently that deck is fully working now. I don't know exactly what I did. Either the heat from the soldering iron fixed that transistor, or there was a bad solder joint. Those are the only two explanations I can think of because I decided to try it and do a recording on it to see if the UKZ capacitors did anything for the recording side of it. And yeah, it calibrated just fine. And both channels are equal levels and there's nothing weird going on with the recording amplifier anymore. So it's fixed at last, and it sounds glorious too. I think the UKZ parts did have quite a big benefit to that deck, and yeah, this deck's got a few more UKZ parts in it, but we'll talk about that in a second. But first, you guys want to see the DR-F8? Yeah, let's go see the DR-F8. It's here. Okay, so we're in the furnace room. This is my overflow storage. I still have this Sony 2-head deck here. It hasn't gone in for re-gifting yet at the charity thrift store. The TIAC V770X is gone. I took that one in around November 28th or so on my birthday, and yeah, that one's gone. You can see the Optonica is still here, the old one. And the reason it's still here is because there's something very curious about that I was confused about. There's one website that says this is a quartz lock deck, but belt drive. But I saw no evidence of that when I was inside it, so I might be getting into that to see what the deal is with that, because if there is a quartz lock control section in that deck, it's going to be inside the motor. I can't see it happening personally, but maybe it's got something like that going on, so that's why it's still here. Otherwise, I don't really care about it. But the DR-F8 is up here, and it's just about the filthiest tape deck I've ever bought. It's just caked in grime and dust, and I hope I can do something with it, because this is the replacement for the DR-M3. I might be selling the DR-M3 now that it's fully working, but yeah, this deck is much more my speed when it comes to tape decks. There's no plastic fantastic construction on this one. It's all mostly metal, so it's very solid feeling compared to the DR-M3. So I hope I can get this one going, because it looks fantastic even when it's dirty. But yeah, we got to get back to what we're dealing with today, don't we? I did mention that I did do some recapping off camera before starting this video, and the reason behind that is I just wanted to have something I could play with on my birthday. I decided to do a full signal chain recap on the playback side of it using UKZ parts just to see what that did for this deck, and it woke it up. UKZ parts are really impressing me now, because if you remember during the multi-diagnosis video that this was part of, I said something along the lines of I was hoping it would sound better than it did. Well, it sounds fantastic now. But yeah, you'll have noticed that there is no record level control in this deck right now. It's gone. That's because I pulled it out to see if I could find a replacement. And initially I didn't have any luck with that. So what I did was I bought a bunch of these with the idea that I would be drilling holes in the back panel to replace that. But, well, first of all, let's take a look at the old record level control. You can see it's just foobar. There is no fixing this. It's not possible. It has to be fully replaced. And that's why the original owner gave up on this deck. It's because he couldn't find a replacement. But as it turns out, I have now found a replacement that is going to fit in there. So unfortunately, it is coming AliExpress, which means it's coming Canada Post, which means I may get it sometime in the next century. But yeah, I've decided not to wait for it. We're going to get this deck sorted today, and it's just not going to do a record play test is all. We might do a playback test only, using a tape that recorded on some other machine. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. And oh, that reminds me, one more quick update. The Sony TC-K666ES is fully working now. Nothing wrong with it at all now. I just recorded a full 90-minute vaporwave tape on it, and it didn't miss a beat, so I'm very happy with how that's finally turned out. But yeah, here's some other stuff in a baggie we should talk about. We've got the record level controls there, and this is a little plastic washer doohickey that keeps you from seeing the metal shielding in there when the record level control is installed, so that'll have to be reinstalled at some point, but not this point. And then this thing is something that fell off while I was fixing the audio buzzing. You remember during the multi-diagnosis video that there was buzzing in the left channel? Well, that was an extremely easy fix. And I'll show you what it was when we get the cover off this thing again. But for now, we're going to start this video by checking the wow and flutter, because I have a strong suspicion that this deck's transport was fully serviced before it ever got posted on eBay for sale for 20 bucks. So I want to see just how well it's doing before service. So I'm going to get out my test tape I made with the double D99, and we're going to see just how good the wow and flutter is on this machine before we ever get in there. Because one thing I noticed is this thing's got brand new belts everywhere, so this was serviced before I got it. And we know it's been serviced because, well, the audio busing issue also, but more on that later. Okay, what are we getting here? .040. We'll just say 0.040. That's fantastic. We're getting this big spike down here at 1 hertz. I don't know what all was done at the time of service when this was serviced, but speed is 29.99 exactly. So the speed is pretty much dead on target. Very little speed drift. Maybe 1 hertz. It's like the Denon DRM3 right now. Except, yeah, I'd like to see if I can get the wow and flutter down just a little bit. We will be servicing the motor for sure, the direct drive motor. That's going to need to be done. But, yeah, so we've got a good look at how this deck is performing now. We'll see if we can get it any better. So, let me pull the cover off and get the computer off of here, and then we'll see what's what. Okay, so the lid is off the Optonica, and we can see inside, and you can already see the tomfoolery I've gotten up to with this thing. You'll notice that I've done some recapping on the power supply, and the reason I've got 3 capacitors connected in parallel here is because the original capacitor there was a 2200 microfarad at 50 volt part. And when I measured it, it was running at 36 volts, so can't just use a 35 volt cap there. So what I did was I took what I had for 50 volt parts, which are 2 of these 1000 microfarad parts, and then I combined them with a 470 here. So that's basically getting me by until I can do another capacitor order, which will be very soon. I went ahead and I recapped the entirety of the audio board on the JVC DD7 already, just so there was less to do for that particular video, and well, it's really drained my stockpile of capacitors, so have to do a capacitor order in the new year once I get there. But for now, I did most of what this deck needs. This one I didn't get because it's blocked in there. You have to take the audio board out in order to get that one out. So that one hasn't been done, but yeah, all the other major capacitors in the power supply are done. The ones that could cause the most problems have been done. But yeah, as part of this video, we have to recap both of these boards back here and this board, because that's the motor control board right there. And I'm just realizing there's something we need to do before I even start on the transport in this, and that's realign the meter circuit. See, after I did the recapping of the audio chain in this, which, by the way, there's a UKZ there, UKZ there. There are two UES parts as well. There's one of them right under there and one of them right over here. But after I did all that recapping in the playback side, I decided to align the Dolby levels, and I did it the same way I did it with the double D99, right at the Dolby chips, and they're all working perfect. But the problem is the meter doesn't show correct Dolby levels, so we're going to fix that now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take my Dolby tape here, fire the deck up, and we're just going to play it and stumble over my words, and also adjust this meter so it's reading correct Dolby levels. What we want to do is bring it up to the Dolby mark there. That's all we want to do. As you can see, it's short on both channels, and I think this is because the capacitors are getting ready to go on this thing, but they're not there yet. So let's realign. Okay, I've got one pot here. Not sure which channel. Okay, it's the left channel. So left channel is aligned. Okay, next channel. Okay, that's done. I think it's done. Yeah, it's right there. So, yeah. While I was listening to this on my birthday, none of the music I played on this went over plus 5 decibels or so. So I knew that needed adjusting, but it's adjusted now, so we can shut this off and start getting into the transport. But yeah, I suspect in order to get the meter board out to recap it, I would have to take the front panel off, and I'm not doing that until the new record level control gets here. Okay, before we get the transport out, I'll show you what the problem with that buzzing was. It's easiest to show you from this angle. You see that metal shield right there? Right here? That wasn't where it is now. It was on top of this bracket right here, which caused grounding issues. So that's basically what it was. There's actually a screw missing here that should probably be there. But yeah, this little piece was sitting on top of there, and it wasn't providing a good enough ground. So easy fix, what can I say? Too easy to show on camera. But we're about to struggle our way into this deck, so let's see if we can figure out how it comes apart, shall we? Well, first off, we have to disconnect this linkage from the record switch, which I have. Actually, I'm going to remove this entirely, I think. It's just going to get in the way it is now. As a bonus, this little rod here makes a good hook for stringing belts. Not that this one needs any belts. They are in good shape in this one, so I'm not going to change them. Lots of grip on the rubber, at least from the ones I can reach. We'll look at them in more detail later. But first, we've got some zip ties to eliminate. So we can disconnect some heads. Not sure if you can see everything I'm doing right now. I would hope so. Let's see what else. There's these two connectors down in here. Anything else? No, we've got another connector right down here, a yellow wire. Probably the erase head or something like that. Yeah, that's what that is, I'm sure of it. Get some wiring out of the way here. This wire here goes to the power switch and headphone area. It's probably for the headphones. It wouldn't be for the power switch because the power switch is back here. Okay, I think the transport's already getting close to coming out. But we got to get these counter wires all straightened up. But yeah, I get the strong feeling this was actually from a technician, this deck. And that they had already serviced it when they discovered that the record level switch was broken and decided to just cut it loose rather than try to find a replacement, which I can understand. And where does this wire go? I can't find a connector for it up top here. Maybe the counter doesn't come out with the transport. Let's see if that is the case. Two screws up top here, two screws on the bottom, and the transport should come out. I think that's one of them right there. Might be three screws on the bottom, actually. That screw was longer than the rest of them. And so is that one. Okay, so all the long screws, I can't talk today again. All the long screws are for the bottom. And that metal plate I showed you in the bag goes in up top on top of this piece back here. It just kind of fell out while I was trying to get that shield back in place. So let's see, does the transport come out now? It does appear that it does. And the counter stays behind, so I'm going to unthread the counter belt and see if I can figure out what's holding this up yet. It's not the tape door, because the tape door stays behind on this one, it looks like. But yeah, I started this one on my birthday because I wanted to give myself a reason to not get into the Technics RSM88 too quickly, because I don't have the capacitors for that one yet. Oh, we've got another connector to unconnect. And yeah, as it turned out, that's an extremely good decision, because this deck I am starting to fall in love with already. I didn't think I would, but it is the complete opposite of that old one in the other room. It sounds fantastic. I was really pleased with how it sounded. Anyhow, I'll set that aside, and you can see where that plate used to go. It was right down here, so I'll have to clean that up and try to glue it back in or something before I conclude my operations today. And yeah, basically what happened is someone had the transport out and they weren't paying attention to this little shield back in here, and They just didn't get it back in place is all. Okay, very simple construction it looks like. I think you would just thread this belt around the reel table in order to... oh, that's moving extremely well. In order to thread this new belt, or thread a new belt, I should say. How good is this grease? I want to know. Do I have to do something with it? It's kind of iffy, this grease. Do I want to do something about that today, or do I want to leave this until I do the record level control? Okay, we're going to fix that today, I think. I don't think that was done. Not seeing any cracking of the reel motor gears. That's good. That was a problem with the old one. But yeah, I'm okay with the level of lube inside the reel tables. There's some kind of a back tension thing going on here, preventing this from moving freely, but I have no doubt that it's probably still in good shape, because this thing was already doing fairly low while in flutter. Just trying to see how this is constructed. Pinch roller needs service. I don't have a replacement, so we'll just wire brush it and hope it comes back around. Just trying to see how the head block mounts right now. Well, we might actually have to remove the reel tables in order to do anything with the head block. Yeah, we can get that done eventually. All of the belts in question reside back here. It looks like they are changeable without taking much apart. Could be wrong. Very possibly I'm wrong. But yeah, I guess we best get started, hadn't we? All right, I think we're going to start with the backside of this transport first. I think we're going to have to get rid of a oil keeper washer to get the capstan motor taken apart here. So I'm going to see if I can get this off. I'll put this off to the side where I can't lose it. And now let's try to get the capstan motor apart, shall we? I suppose this could have been an advanced user that just got in here to replace the belts and whatnot, but I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that somebody a little bit more experienced had this last. I could be wrong. Okay, what is holding this up? There's a wire or something. A wire that goes all the way through and goes where? I don't know where it goes. Oh, I see. I see what the deal is. They want you to take the entire motor assembly out as an assembly. We're doing the circuit board stuff prematurely, is what we're doing. That was the wire to the field coil. So we got to get the motor mount screws out first. And there appear to be 3 of those. It's like the DD99 in a way. Let's see if I can find this one down in the hole here. Okay, just lost that screw, but I'll find it. Okay, we got another problem with wires here. Just checking to see which of these zip ties I need to get rid of, and it appears that I have to get rid of all of them. I'm starting to think this motor has never been out of here before, so could be some fresh lube on that will make it much happier. So yeah, looks like the motor board is got my screw back for the motor. Yeah, the motor board is married to this board over here with some soldered wires, so we're probably going to have to desolder something here. Let's see, I'll do it from the motor. How's that? We got to heat up the new desoldering station anyway. I'm going to be replacing all of these electrolytic capacitors on here. There's quite a few. And then we'll deal with the Capstan motor lube by and by. I love the flywheel on this thing. Look at the size of that. It's at least an inch high in there. Okay, so before I do the desoldering, here's how the wires go. Blue towards the edge, red towards the inside. Okay, gun should be nice and hot now, so let's see if we can do this. And I found out the hard way that this thing clogs real easy. This is the one I used to do the DD7 with. This deck I just used the cheap Amazon one to see how well it worked. And it worked well enough. I was happy with it. Come on, melt the solder. You can do it. Still not quite used to using this thing. Still kind of sticking to the solder lands here. I'll get it, don't worry. I'll just heat up the iron now and just get it loose that way. Okay, we can set that aside now and get started on the capacitors. Still getting used to this thing, what can I say? Okay, so the recap is done. Every single one has been replaced. Got a fine gold one here because that's 0.47 microfarads, and I'm going to have to order some from the supplier that are not fine gold because I don't want to keep using them in motor circuits, but it's all I had. Anyway, almost all of these are Panasonic FR now, but for I think this one, which is Nichicon PY, and I think there's a Rubicon here, yes. YXJ there. And I found one capacitor that was bad. This one here. Not exactly sure which one it was, but 25 volts, 4.7 microfarads, and don't know if you can see it, but camera is not focusing. But it's been leaking. It's got kind of green crustiness all over it. Well, maybe not green crustiness, but it's been leaking. Anyhow, this one measured at 10 ohms ESR, so glad it's gone. But now we got to do some more work to this motor. And by the way, yes, I have tested for solder bridges using the continuity checker, and no problems there. So hopefully this doesn't fight me too hard coming apart now, but who knows? Okay, there's our direct drive motor coils there. Don't have much room to work here, but that's okay. What we need to do is extract this. Looks fairly well lubricated yet, except it's a little dry back in here. And there's a washer that's sticking to the inside of the flywheel here. See if I can get that up. It looks like it's got some old dried up grease on it, so might need to get somewhat forceful with it, because we need to clean off that old dried grease and reapply. Alright, sewing needle to the rescue. I finally got under this washer and I can pull it out now. I'll just set it there for now so we can start a cleaning. One Kim wipe. One moistening with the acetone, or over moistening as it would seem. There's our squeaky squeaky. Just trying to clean things up here, and let's get the thrust bearing area done too while we're at it, because that's going to need to be re-greased. Yeah, very old dried up grease back there. Lots of work to do on this particular capstan motor, it would seem. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get the wound flutter down any more than it was after service. Just need to clean off this washer before I forget about it. Pipe cleaner and acetone, and we'll clean out the capstan bearing. Like so. Either we have fibers stuck in there or there's damage to the actual bearing itself. Just give me a second here. I want to get my rocket blower. I'm just going to see if I can clear out the debris using this thing from the other side. Oh yeah, and the pipe cleaner did leave residue behind. So what do I want to do now? I wanted to do something next. Ah yes, I wanted to clean this area here. And we'll let that dry out. I shouldn't have thrown that away because I have to clean the thrust bearing surface on the other side. Oh well. I got lots of Q-tips. I'm not running out. Little Andorol 456 going in. We'll let that start to absorb into there. The capstan will pull it through, of course, but just making sure it's got all the oil it needs. I'm glad I'm doing this because whoever did the service on this last did not go this far. Very obviously. Okay, so I'm going to need my washer again. And what we're going to do is get the flywheel stuck to the motor plate. I'm going to put some moly coat down here where that washer goes. That's too much. That is way too much. I'll get a Q-tip and pull some of that out. Actually, we just want a thin smearing of this stuff down in there. And that is an actual oil keeper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to continue pulling off some of this excess grease. And I will have to clean some of that now with iso alcohol. Okay, I'm going to leave it just kind of up a little bit from the end of the shaft, and I'm just going to run it through like so. I believe that's how I will do this. That way that washer can seat properly, and there's grease there if it's all the way down on top of the flywheel again. I think I'm happy with this. Now we just need some moly coat on the thrust bearing. That ought to be plenty. And now we put the motor back together. And we should have a happy motor now. Okay, that ought to be it for this motor. Just going to clean off the capstan and reapply the, or reattach the oil control washer now. Just absorbing some of the excess there, and I'll put the oil control washer on now. I love it when these are this easy to service, like this one in the DD99. Gonna push it down till it's almost all the way down on top of the capstan, but not quite. We want a little bit of a gap there. That washer is just there to keep the oil off the surface where the tape goes. That's all. And I'll get another Kim wipe, iso alcohol, and I'm just going to clean the capstan where the tape goes. Because I can do that right here. I don't have to get the thing back in the deck for that. Okay, it appears that in order to get the back plate of this thing off, in order to service the transport from the back here, what we're going to have to do is take at least one belt off. And that would be this one here for the real drive. So I'm going to try to fish this thing out so I don't have to deal with it flopping all over the place. Okay, here it is. Actually, that belt doesn't feel as good to me as I thought it would. Might be replacing that. Actually, will be replacing that if I've got one at all. This one is currently 31.5 millimeters half diameter, or half of internal circumference, so double that for the internal circumference. That would be 63. I don't know if that's right, but I'll put it off to the side anyway. And yeah, I take it back. I don't think these belts have been changed, so thought I was going to get away with using the old belts, but I don't think so. And there's two solenoids to watch out for. There's one here. It just goes on top of this big white arm here. And then there's this other one right here, and the pin goes right through the middle, it looks like. It looks like this just engages playback or something. But yeah, it looks like we've got a a cam gear here that engages an arm with a roller on it. I don't know what else we got in here. I'm sure we'll be finding out the hard way. But yeah, not getting anything done just looking at it, are we? Can't tell if that screw was ever off before. It may have been. And we've got two switches up in here as well. I don't know, maybe it's easier to just leave the solenoid in place, this one back here. I'm thinking about that. Probably find out later that this is completely unnecessary and doesn't have to be done, but whatever. It is what it is. There's a straggler capacitor I wanted to throw away. Okay, just two more screws, I think. Or no, three more screws. There's one up top. Okay, there are the two screws in the middle are the shorter of the two, like this one and this one. They're shorter than the ones on the end blocks, it looks like. So I'm going to have to remember that. Yeah, that was a longer screw. If I screw something up back here, then I'm not too worried about it, because this was a $20 tape deck, literally. Somebody gave up on her, and I got it for cheap. Okay, it won't come up now. Why will it not come up now? What am I missing? Nothing, apparently. Just popped right apart. Yeah, I knew dismounting this solenoid was a mistake. Now it's just flopping around loose. Fun fact for you guys. This plate right here, that's a heat sink. There's thermal grease all up under there. So my hands are nice and messy now, but whatever. It's fine. At least now we can start servicing this. And yeah, it looks like you have to get at least this far into it to replace this one belt here. This is clearly the belt that drives the loading mechanism for the play or something. So yeah. And now that I look at it, this belt is kind of glazed and hard too, so this does need to be serviced. And we'll take these wheels off and clean them up real good as well. Might as well. We're here. But we've got a bunch of these little infernal E-clips to deal with that I just love dealing with. I've got replacements if they go flying, but still, I would rather they didn't. And why am I not cleaning this before I mess with that? Yeah, I'm going to have to take it back. I don't think this was serviced before. I think the transport was out, but it was not serviced. That's the impression I'm getting. So yeah, I'm going with someone started to try and service it, but discovered the damage to the record level control and decided, nope, I'm cutting her loose. But not to worry, we'll get her going again. Initially, I thought I was going to go ahead and take this down to the charity thrift store. I may have mentioned this, but no, it's good enough. I want to keep it. Very much want to keep it. I've listened to it. Game over, says I. Up comes the wheel. And there's a washer on the wheel I'm trying to put aside, and did so successfully. What's on the underside of this? I thought there was another washer there, but there does not appear to be. There's no grease under here either, it looks like, despite the fact that it looks like this spring needs grease. So I will be greasing in here. Oh, there actually might be a washer in here. Stand by. Oh no, it's just old oil is what's down there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that. And we'll clean the shaft real good. Yep, it's glazed and hard. We need to replace it. This one is 51 millimeters times 2, that's 102. I think. Yes. I can do math today. And what's the width? 1.2 millimeter belt. Okay, so we've got 2 belts we need to replace, and I didn't measure the thickness of the other one. This one is 0.9, it looks like. 0.8 maybe. I don't know. Do I use my 0.7s for this, or do I go with a 1 millimeter? I think I'll go with a 1 millimeter for this one. Okay, so I found a couple of belts here. Not sure if I'm too thrilled with them, but I did find them. This one here is the new cam actuation belt. This one is 1.2 millimeters wide by 49 millimeters, halfway stretched, so that's about, well, you can do the math on what the internal circumference is on that one. And then this other one for the real drive is about the same as the one that came off, so I hope it works. It is a 1 millimeter round belt. It's the only one I could find, so since the old one was still able to drive the mechanism, I'm going to say it's probably going to work. But yeah, these belts are definitely in worse shape than I thought they were at first. So let's continue on here. Gotta get this little wheel off, and can I do that without removing these linkages? Probably don't need to, considering how freely it's moving, but yeah, we're here. We might as well go all the way with it. This strikes me as a mechanism I don't want to be into very often, so we'll get everything done that we can get done. Okay, we'll pull this lever off first. Actually, it kind of feels like that pivot needs to be lubricated, so we'll plan on doing that as well. See if I can move this arm out of the way here, so I can get the other arm. There we go. Oh, okay, and for this one I actually do need to have the solenoid out. Oh boy, that one was tough. But I got it. Set it down next to the other one. It's big bro, as it were. Now, can I get this out? No, of course I can't. And since we have to remove this irritating little solenoid now, I can show you the heat shrink, or not heat shrink, heat sink grease under here. I don't think I'll bother refreshing it. I'll just show it to you. It's here to take some of the heat away from that solenoid. See, yeah, that's what that is. Sorry if I didn't get any of that on camera. That's the usual way it goes for me. I'm going to put that to the side. try to hold on to the solenoid here. We'll bring you back over here. And yeah, there's heatsink grease all over that down there as well, so fortunately we can get to the wheel at this point. And there's another washer under here, it looks like, so don't lose that. And it's a good idea to get some oil in the front bearing of this motor as well while we're here. I'm loving the metal pulley on this, but I'm not loving what it's going to take to get oil in there. I'll tell you that right now. I do believe I got some in there, so that should be happy. Another one of these pipe cleaners dipped in iso alcohol, and we'll clean this out. I'm going to take the washer first and put it aside so I don't lose that. I'm just going to put the washer back on the shaft now, if I can get it to go. And now for the molly coat. Just a light little brushing on the shaft ought to do what we need it to do. Oh yeah, it doesn't get much better moving than that. There's a gear on the end of this pulley that apparently drives something, but I'm not sure exactly what at the moment. Now I got to put this ridiculously small E-clip back on this thing. Wish me luck. These love to go flying, and these are the smallest you can get, it looks like. Ah, I got it on too. Somehow it's on. Okay, so that's moving well. Put the solenoid back in. Reinstall from the other side, and then we should be able to start putting this back together. At least this part of it. All right, progress is progressing. Pulleys back in, belts in, new belts in, I should say. And I've got all the other stuff put back together mostly. Just haven't done this this other cam gear yet, but we're getting to that right now. I'll just do the pipe cleaner trick to clean out the center here. And we should be ready to install this again as soon as that dries. But yeah, getting this little teeny tiny E-clip back on, that was not fun. It'll fight you. Just trying to get a little dab up there where that clip goes and the washer goes. If I can get this washer back on now, Now getting this clip back on is going to be fun because this whole gear presses down further than where the clip goes, I think. Oh, no, it doesn't. The clip surface goes in there. Or the clip track is down here anyway. I hope you know what I'm talking about, because I don't know what I'm talking about. There we go. Oh yeah, it's working. The ultimate test, of course, will be to get it back in the deck and make sure the solenoid can actuate the mechanism properly, but I think we might be okay here. So I want to put some moly coat on some of the surfaces in here, because this is where that cam gear, or that cam engages to raise and lower the head block. I think. Could be wrong, but I think I'm not wrong on that. I'll put some on the other side as well, but for now this section of the transport is done, I do believe. I haven't cleaned the switches yet, but I'm noticing there's a bunch of not so good grease over here. On this side, that's turned to almost glue now. Yeah, that is not good, that grease. So we got to clean that now. A little reluctant to use moly coat there because that's clearly not a very critical area for good grease. It just has to have some grease is all. But I don't want to go find the luber plate right now, so we'll just do it that way. How's about that? Oh yeah, there's grease on the other end of the pin too that needs to go. And of course we'll reapply. And we'll set that off to the side. Time to move on to this side of things. All right, now what do we need to lube down here? This is where that cam gear rides. Okay, that's moving well. Actually, this doesn't raise and lower the head block. This releases the brakes, apparently. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay, so that's what that's for. Just wondering how much of this do I need to take apart. It looks like there's all kinds of nasty solidified grease on this arm here, this metal one. How do I get to that, though, without taking this too much apart? Actually, I think I can pull it off right now. I've got a spring here that we need to release. And there's this spring here. If I can even get it from here, I don't think I can. And then there's this little plate right up in here that we remove, it looks like, to free this arm up. And I think it just comes out. I'm just putting this spring up here just so it's out of the way for the moment. Yes, that's what happens there. I'm seeing more of that junky grease there too. So this spring's about to go flying when I take this off, so try to keep it out of the way. And yes, that's how that works. Oh yeah, the bad grease is all over this piece here, this little white arm. So that has to be all cleaned up now. But there's a bunch of this other different grease in here that I'm not sure if I want to do much with. It's the sort of lithium infused stuff that I found in the Sony TC-K666ES. That kind of grease will not need to be done. I just did it in the TC-K666ES because I was so tired of dealing with that deck. I didn't want it to give me any excuses. Okay, I'm going to clean up that grease from in there too because it's the same crap. I hope I can get this all back together the way it was. It would suck if I couldn't. And here's more of that garbage grease. It's just all over down here. I was hoping not to have to work too hard on this, but it looks like I am. Oh, this old terrible grease is just everywhere in here. This clearly has not been serviced, ever. Well, I don't want to remove too much of the mechanism out of this because it's supposed to be a more relaxing job than it's turning into. I might have to go much further than I would like because there's just garbage grease all over this thing. Some of it's so bad I gotta scrape it off with a dental pick. Like this pin is especially bad. In fact, it's bad enough that I'm kind of worried I'm scraping away plastic right now, not grease. It would suck if I break this machine just cleaning it. But this pin is really, really, really bad. It's getting cleaner, but not very quickly. But it is responding now. It would seem. Yes, that's clearly for head block engagement there. I'm just wondering what that pin engages with. It's clearly something over on this other piece here. So I hope I can get it set up properly. It looks like it engages with this little track up here. Probably goes around the outside if I had to guess. Okay, molly coat time. I hope. Starting to think we're not going to get the head block off this thing unless we keep the transport disassembled to this level. So I'm questioning whether or not I even want to mess with that right now, because it looks like we have to remove a couple of little rubber pieces or rubber stoppers so it will come down far enough to be removed. So I may not do that today. That's moving well enough. This is going to be fun. No, not really. Okay, now I got to get this spring out the way. And I think I got her. Now there's more to molly coat I didn't get. There we go. Let's see, do I need to put molly coat under anything else before I start reassembling things? Got to get some down here where the brake is, or brake arm is. That's a little much, but it won't hurt it, I don't think. This little plate back in. However that goes in. I forgot to molly coat under that. I'll leave it loose and I'll sneak some in there. Just like that. Okay, I see another thing to molly coat. And molly coat it has been. Oh yeah, I better do that little pin while I'm thinking about it. And the roller. Now the question is, how do I get that back plate back on? Well, I think I've got a clip to reinstall first, if I can find it. All right, there is no clip. It's just I forgot how this thing went in. It's just a little surface for that spring to ride. So the spring is the clip, pretty much. So hopefully the backside is ready to go back on. I'm seeing even more molly coating stuff I need to do. For the eject mechanism. Completely missed all that stuff. Of course I did. So we'll get you back in here and we'll keep going. This is the area we're gonna lube up next. It's got a bunch of that old not so good grease on it in various places. Because of course it does. Just holding the eject down from the other side here so I can get even more moly coat in where it's needed. Okay, that's moving well. Now maybe I can put the other side of that thing back on. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'm wasting my time right now. Okay, I think it's all set to go back. Not 100% sure. I forgot to clean the switches, didn't I? I should remember things that I need to do. Not sure why the cam gear isn't springing back the way it should. There must be something I'm missing, but I think this is the way it's supposed to be to go back in. Pretty sure. Nope, not sure at all. So let me try to get this back in and we'll see what happens. I'll leave it in its ejected state because of this one switch here, which looks like it's going to... I forgot something else. I got to clean this pulley. I'd forget my head if it wasn't bolted on. Well, that's easy enough to do. We're right here. Don't need to reinstall the belt just yet. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the state of cleanliness, as it were. Very important with a mechanism like this that you check that you're not binding things up that don't need to be bound up or that don't want to be bound up, because there are definitely aspects to this that are not so easy with that. It's not quite all the way down yet, so I need to investigate and find out why that is the case and then deal with it. I did have to pull this solenoid back upwards so it would engage with the arm again, and I've done that. So that's not what's holding it up, and it's not the head block either. If I had to guess, it's probably that little pin that I might have to get under here and push out of the way. Or maybe that's not it. I also had this one switch binding up here as well. Okay, and then the eject switch was binding up as well. Okay, so we should be clear to put some screws back in this thing. Just noticing this side plate is a bit loose. This one right here, I don't know if it's supposed to be loose or not, but I'll tighten it up and see what happens. No, I don't think that was supposed to be loose. Well, it's tight now. Yeah, I kind of have my doubts that I'm getting this back together properly, but I I don't know. We'll see. If it doesn't work after I get done with this, then we'll know. I didn't get it back together properly, but I will try to cycle the mechanism. Once I get all these in, because I think I can do that. I think I will have to do it manually. So I'll hold it like this. I will release the, or fire the solenoid manually. And how does this go? Well, actually I can get it through here and cycle it this way. It's kind of wanting to spin back on me now because it's working with aspects of the transport that are on the other side of where we were working. So I'm trying not to let it spring back. Quite so easily. Oh yeah, it went back properly. I think it's working. I think we're good. Now, as for this counter belt, we'll have to deal with that. But how do I get the reel tables off on this? And yeah, I don't like the looks of this grease anymore because of what I had to deal with on the other side, but I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to clean up right now, just given the way this is. Because remember, we're not pulling the head block on this one. By the way, the head block is moving quite a bit better now, so yeah, I guess we got to move on the front side now. All right, my phone battery says it's getting a bit low, so we're going to have to quit for the day soon. I've got lots of time tomorrow to finish this up if I need to, but we'll get a start on this. I don't know why I'm taking this off first, or trying to, but I love it when springs are glued down like this, making it impossible for them to come out. But I got it. Let's see, we got a little screw to free up here. We're going to have to watch for ball bearings once this comes off. Oh, there was one. Thankfully, it didn't go far. There's always ball bearings under there. And that ball bearing just rides right up in here, if you can see that. So yes, that's an area we will re-grease. What about this linkage here? Looks like there's a little clip under here. Maybe. Yeah, there is. This sliding plate can be removed. I don't think that would be a problem. I don't know about this one. That looks like an adjustment. So we would have to pay attention to the glue marks here to put it back where it's supposed to go. That's if we can get it without disturbing the glue marks. That might not be possible. But we'll pull the pinch roller now, I think. Just taking a look at how this spring goes. It's just right up in there, the one for the pinch roller. So if I can get this E-clip off, we'll be good to go with that. Maybe. This arm looks like it wants to interfere with getting the pinch roller off of this thing. Oh, maybe not. It swivels down out of the way. So pinch roller's off. That arm feels like it's moving freely enough, but I can't really get full range of motion on it right now as it sits. The pinch roller has this little metal dealie here that engages with the it goes in between here, I think. Pretty sure. Not exactly sure what that entire linkage does, but it does something. So I'm going to start cleaning up old grease already. And there is a lot of it in places where I don't want it, but it's all coming clean. Yeah, I'm going to film for as long as I can, and then if the phone needs charging, I'll stop for the day. That's how I'll do that. And it's actually getting really close to that point now, so yeah, might have cause to regret this later, because I may end up forgetting what order things go back on if I have to leave it from this state tomorrow. Until tomorrow, I should say. And I'll service the pinch roller off camera. Not too worried about that. I'm going to put the little washer, or the clip for the pinch roller by the pinch roller itself. Okay, now what do I need to do in here? Just to get rid of some of this old grease. Well, first I better clean it up. Oh, good Lord, this grease has just done in places. Oh, and we've got a broken piece here. Or no, we don't. This was screwed down. Okay, so this goes underneath that plate. Yeah, that's how that works. Okay, so I'll put that plus the ball bearing plus the post up out of the way where they can all be together and live happily ever after until I put them back in here. Glad I noticed that on camera, because I might have to end up referencing that footage tomorrow. Because I don't have much time left on the camera before I have to go charge it. And by camera I mean phone, of course. Alright, I'm going to molly coat that now before I forget about it. That should do. Now we've got this other spring here. Let's see if I can point it out. This one here, it's got a really long area that stretches down to the head block. So let's see, where can I remove this from? I should be getting tweezers out for springs this small. But I'm not. I'll just dangle this down out of the way. Now how can I get that clip off? Like that, I guess. Take that little metal doohickey off. And I think that's about as far as we're going to need to go with this. I just have to get in here, clean up all the old grease, and then re-lube. I'll just show the camera. So you can see. And then, yeah, I just got to go through and clean up all this old grease. I'm going to do that off camera real quick. All right, I think I got this to the point where everything's just about re-lubed now. I did take off this little arm down here that's held on with a screw. Not too difficult to figure out how that goes in. And yeah, everything's been lubed up here, except I haven't gotten the lube in for the head block mount yet and the ball bearing, but we'll do that one on camera. And then I'm going to have to quit for the day because, like I said, the battery on the phone is getting really low and I got to charge it. Okay, where's my ball bearing? Did I lose it? No, I did not lose it. Surprisingly, I did not lose it. Just drop that back in place right there. Coat it a little bit in grease. Put this little post back on after I clean it. It's got some of that old garbage grease on it yet. Put that back in place. I'm not sure that went back in as well as I would have liked it to, but we'll get it sorted. Don't worry, the grease is holding on to the ball bearing, so we won't lose that at least. Okay, so that's done. Now off camera, I will clean this up and service it, and then we'll pick up with the real tables tomorrow. All right, back to it 2 days later, because yesterday we had power fluctuations and I didn't want to get back into this when there was a chance of the power going out. Anyway, as you can see, this metal plate's been glued back in. I used JB Weld to do it. But it's in there. It's not going anywhere now, so yeah, that's done. Also did quite a few other things off camera we need to talk about. If I can rearrange my workspace here. Oh yeah, I got a counter belt out. It's the same as the old one. Let's see, which is the old one? This is the old one, I think. Or is it? Well, this one's got the deformity in it, so this must be the old one. Yeah, that feels less grippy than this one, so yeah, it's basically the same size, because what you want for a counter belt is something that's just able to turn the counter mechanism. It doesn't need to be really tight, and you don't want it to be really tight because it'll affect the wound flutter that way. Anyhow, I'll show you what I found for a belt here. This is from my 1mm stockpile, width that is, and this one is 98.3 millimeters half internal circumference. So I'll let you do the math on that one, and I'm going to throw this one away just so I don't use it again by accident. So yeah, that's ready to go in, but more things to talk about. As you can see, I've got the motor back in this thing. You might be thinking that it's probably would have been good if I'd lubricated those other mechanisms over on this side of the back side of the transport, but all those linkages were moving fairly well, so I decided to skip those. I did, however, do some more lubrication work up top here, off camera. And that's because I now have these things. These are very tiny swabs that you can use for well, they're actually intended for cosmetics, but they'll get to places that the Q-tips won't get to. And thanks to those and my Mollycoat shooting syringe here, I was able to get in underneath this head block plate and clean and relube it under there. So yeah, that's all I need to do there, I think. This is moving extremely well. I don't expect any problems from anything in the front of the transport now. If there's going to be any problems from the old grease, it's going to be on those linkages I didn't work on this time. But I have to get back in here anyway to fix the record level control and all that stuff. And I thought, well, we'll just do half the job now. And if I have to go back in and relube those, then I can. The other thing is, I don't know exactly how the recording linkage works. I think this is the way it's supposed to be in. I did clean and lube this, by the way. But yeah, I just don't know how the recording trigger works on this thing. So yeah, I might have to get back into that anyway. So might as well not work too hard on holiday vacation here, or holiday break as it were. I did get the pinch roller serviced off camera, as mentioned, but this pinch roller is on the way out. It needs replacement. I was not able to get it to respond to the wire brush treatment with soap and water. I had to use the rubber renew to soften it up enough. And a couple of back and forth applications of rubber renew followed by the wire brush helped it a little bit, but it's still on the way out and I need to replace it. And I can't replace it because of the strike. I had a big pinch roller order planned for Fix Your Audio, but no way for it to get here right now, so no pinch roller. This one will have to do for now, and I think it will. But yeah, let's finish this transport off, shall we? About all we need to do now is the reel tables. So let me center you in the shot here, and we'll try and get this done. And I do want to try and get these brakes off as well, because I don't know if I can really, because I ended up putting this linkage back in, but there's still a little bit of the old bad grease up here, and I can work around it otherwise, but I'd rather get the brake off if I can. So we've got two really tiny E-clips to get rid of. So I need a small sewing needle. And I just realized I haven't told you about the Black Friday tape deck I bought, which is going to be the first video of 2025 as it's turning out. Because there are a number of brands that haven't been on the channel yet, and this is one of them. Well, actually, I take that back. It has been on the channel before, the brand has, but not in the way of cassette decks. And these things are fighting me. So I thought, since I have to get it here fast again, let's just go ahead and make it my first video of the new year. Okay, I got that E-clip off. It was not fun. And I can confirm to you right now that it is possible to change the counter belt without having to pull this off. It's very easy. And that was very easy. And let's see. There is a little bit of a washer in here. I will take that off and put it next to the other one that goes on top of that reel table. Set the reel table to the side, and yeah, that's grease, so we're gonna re-grease that for sure. It was moving well, but I don't think I would want to leave the old stuff in there. So let's just clean her off. And I'm thinking we should be able to get this going within a few minutes here. Well, maybe not a few minutes, but We're close to the end of this deck, I think. Or this transport. Not the deck, because the deck still needs a lot. Don't really see anything back here for back tension. Interesting. Oh yeah, maybe there is something built into here for back tension. There's a washer on the back, of course. Pull that off. So what do we got going on here? Oh, I see. There's a little back tension spring down in there. That's what the deal is. Interesting way to do that. Well, it's an old, not so good grease again. And after reviewing my footage, I'm actually not sure it has that graphite grease anywhere in this transport anymore. I think it's all just this old dried up white lithium grease. So let's see if this comes up now. It does appear to. Maybe not. So we're going to have to get creative with the lube on this. I will be injecting Molykote underneath this brake assembly. That is the plan. Sliding brake assembly seems to be moving well, so I'm just going to do Molykote like that, just as a preliminary thing. Slide it back and forth a couple times to distribute the grease. Now we'll go up top here. Same sort of thing up here. And that will already have most of it lubricated. So next step would be to sort of try and pull up on it so I can get the syringe in underneath. Again, I'm not fully cleaning out the old grease by doing it this way. You would have to be more proactive than I am being to fully clean it, because you would have to take all this stuff apart. Just a little bit of grease at the top of these little metal slits here. That should do it. Feels good. Now how about this? I think this is probably good too. This was moving well. If this weren't moving well, we wouldn't get fast forward and rewind, and that's always been working on this deck. So I don't like the idea of actually pulling any of this assembly off, because if I know Optonica and Sharp units, this will probably crumble into a million pieces if I try to do anything with it. So I'm just going to leave it in place, at least for now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, the brake spring is back in. And just a little swipe up here. A little bit too much down below. And then one swipe up this way. Just going to apply a little touch of Molykote to where that washer contacts. Don't really want to get too much Molykote up here because there are no decorative caps for these areas up here. So that's one reel table done, and my hands are greasy. Okay, one reel table to go, and then we can put this all back together and test it. Okay, that's that. Wipe off my hands again because there's moly coat on them again. Get the belt in there. Like so. It's on. And now all we got to do is put this back into the cassette deck and give her a try and see if she works. I don't know if I like my chances on this one. Alright, I tried to put this back in, but quickly found out that my counter belt was way too big. So I'm going to use this one instead. This one's 180 millimeters internal circumference by 1 millimeter width. So it should work. The other one was almost... oh, what was it? My brain just went out again. The other one was significantly bigger. Let's just put it that way. You saw it earlier in the video. Let me get this in and we'll see what happens. Okay, transport's back in and I'm getting ready to test her. So cross your fingers. But I just noticed something before we do this. We got a piece missing from in here. There's supposed to be a plate or something over this. Oh well, I don't need that to be there. I just need it to work. So let's power it up. Power is on. I'll get my demo tape here. We'll risk this one. I'm not going to put the door on just yet because if this thing jams and locks the door closed, I want to be able to get back in there. So let's see what we got. Oh, no take-up. It's trying to do something. Let's see what's going on here. If we can. Let's take a look at the... Yeah, that is slipping. Brakes are releasing, so what is going on? Let's see if I can get a better look. So I need to look down in here to see what's going on, if I can. If I had to guess, that little plate that releases the idler is not releasing. Yeah, it's clearly trying to do something, but can't quite do it. It's either a problem with the belt or it's a problem with the linkage. All right, I've got a 56 millimeter, or is it 56? Might be 58 millimeter internal circumference belt on this thing now, and it's still not able to spin the idler, so it's physically jamming. So I need to take this back apart, and isn't that going to be just fun? All right, I think I might have found the problem. The problem is this little pin right here has to be above this area right here. And if it's caught inside, it won't do anything. So I think what the problem was it was just stuck inside there, and yeah, not able to fully go up and down the way it's supposed to. Either that or there's a missing wheel on this thing that I inadvertently picked off thinking it was old hard grease. So yeah, I think what you have to do is you have to pull this up and out of the way so you can, or while you're installing the back plate with the rest of the mechanism. At least that's my going theory. I've got this little gear here that does fit over top of that if in case it needs a new wheel or something, but this gear is probably just a little bit large for that. So I'm going to do more testing and see if I can get this to work properly. Okay, so it's not that little pin. It is actually releasing this idler assembly properly. No, the problem seems to be this felt clutch back in here. I did oil this assembly. I dribbled some sewing machine oil back in there, so my thinking is there's just sewing machine oil on that felt back there. So I'm going to take one of these little things and hopefully clean it off, and we'll see what happens. All right, folks, I think I fixed it. Let's watch. So, yeah, it was the felt clutch. The way I fixed it was I took this little strip of 1000 grit sandpaper, I pulled the little thing forward, I stuck this down in here, and then let go of the spring, or let go of the wheel, and just pulled up. And then I rotated the wheel and did the same thing all over again until I went all the way around. So basically I've refreshed the felt clutch in here and it's working. So I think we're going to be good to go now. Oh, I still have it turned on, I think. I was going to hit play. I got the wrong button. Play still doesn't work. Yeah, there's something going on that it's not latching into play mode properly, and what's happening with this belt is the entire reel motor is stalling out. It's not actually able to start playback in the way it is now, so I'm going to have to review my footage and see if I got those linkages attached to that solenoid set up properly, because it seems like it errors out every now and then, so stand by. Alright, I'm starting to think that the mode belt is a little bit too tight in this thing, so I'm going to try one that's not quite as tight. This one's a 106 millimeter internal circumference belt. I'm going to try this. I hope I can keep track of all these belts, but I have checked this mechanism multiple times, and I've checked this multiple times, and I can't find any reason why this thing is jamming and not going into play mode properly, so I don't know what's going on. This reel motor just stalls out, and then it can't move the mechanism anymore, I guess. I don't know what's going on, but I'll keep trying. Alright, I think I found part of the problem. This solenoid here, when I reinstalled it, I've installed it a little too far upwards. So I've now readjusted it downwards, and it seems to be not getting jammed as easily, but I'm still having trouble getting her to go into playback. I'll show you what happens. Basically what I've got is the thingy here not able to turn the take-up reel. You see, it's just having problems. And if you look back there, when I do that, you see the belt is slipping. I don't know if a tighter belt is the way forward there, though, because I don't really have a tighter belt than that one. So yeah, let me try a 1.2 millimeter belt, this other one I had here, and we'll see if that gets it going. Alright, I'm making progress here. The problem seems to be the felt clutch inside the idler. Somehow, I don't know. It has something to do with either one of these felt clutches, either this one at the back that I roughened up possibly too much, or this one up here. Anyway, I've partially cleaned this one, and this is what I'm getting now. As you can see, it is playing now, again. So yeah, I'm gonna try to clean this a little bit more. It's not easy. You have to kind of push back on this gear, but not too hard because it's very soft and it might break on you. So yeah, I'm going to continue trying to clean this and see if I can get it to work a little better. But For now, I've left the 60mm 1.2 belt in there because it seems like it's having the easiest time driving the mechanism right now, but it seems to be almost working, so I don't know if it'll stay working because I've just got this feeling in the back of my mind that I'm going to have to replace both this felt clutch and this one, but I don't know. This one seems to be coming clean and working better, so if there's anyone that I would have to replace, I'm sure it's this one back here. So, yeah, good thing I'm starting this in early December, because this might take the rest of the month to get this thing going again. This has not been my most favorite transport ever to service. Let's see if it does anything now. There's a little slack there, but it is playing again. There's not very much take-up torque. In fact, it's unspooling. All right, folks, I think I got this thing licked. I'm not sure. Very much not sure, but before I tell you what the issue was, I just want to give you a little bit of advice. If you are new to this kind of thing and you're looking at this model as possibly your first cassette deck to restore, well, I'm kind of gonna recommend you don't do that, because this transport is deceptively complicated. It's taken me several days to get it to this point, and I'm still not sure it's going to stay working. So let me show you how it's working right now, and then I'll tell you about what I had to do to fix it. So rewind and fast forward first. And now play. It doesn't play long because it's got the counter disconnected right now. But I've got good torque now on take-up, so this is fixed. Now, what was the problem? Well, the idler was the problem. This little shaft in here is just press fit into this white arm back here. And if you're not careful in the way you're handling this, you will press on this and it will go in too far and increase the spring pressure on the clutch. And that's what binds it up. So there's a little sweet spot. If it's just right, you get the result I just showed you. If it's not just right, if it's either a little too far in or a little too far out, this will simply not work. If it's too far out, it'll just spin the wheel like we saw on some of those Sony decks, like the TC-K series. If it's too far in, it'll bind up the whole assembly and you won't get any playback at all. But if it's just right, it'll work fine. And I hope this one's going to stay working now. But yeah, there were a few more things I did off camera. I shaved down this clutch a little bit with a razor blade. Same thing back here. Cleaned them both. And another thing I did was I got in behind this gear right here with a sewing needle. And I pulled back the oil control washer that's back there. And I dribbled some more sewing machine oil back in there. So this is very well lubed now. And oh yeah, one more thing. I've got a little O-ring inside this pulley now to just sort of increase the diameter just a little bit for this belt that's in here. That's a 60mm by 1mm belt right there. And the O-ring is 11.5mm by 1.5mm. So I don't know if it really needs to be there, but I think it kind of helps, so it's there. But I think we got her now, so I'm going to reinstall off camera. I'm going to fine-tune the speed off camera. I'll get you a screenshot of that, and then we're going to do a play test. Anyway, see you guys next year. Take care.
Was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Mom and I, that's my wife Katrina, We just finished doing the chores, you know, milking the cows and everything. And we just put the kids to bed because they were making noise all night, and during the day they were by the barn and the chicken coop, they were playing hide and go look. So I said, kids, get to bed right away because school's tomorrow, you know, you have to catch the school bus. So Mom and I just had a cup of coffee, they were sitting having lunch, and then all of a sudden we said, let's look on the news. So we opened the TV, I was watching the news, and I heard in an instant some kind of noise, some rustling. I thought, son of a gun, must be Halloween joke. No, it can't be Halloween joke because it's Christmas, but you know, close together side beach like that. And Katrina says, I think there's somebody in the outside. I says, no, sorry, Bob, I don't think so. She says, well, Metro, open up the light, you know, that shines past the barn there, the chicken coop and where we keep the ducks in there. So I opened the light. And there, standing by my massive 44 cockshot special diesel, next to my half-truck to pick me up one, was some kind of guy with a red suit on. Now, I never look on his face, but I knew him from someplace. You know, I know his face, but I just couldn't make him. So I go out, I grab the 23, you know, just in case somebody wants to steal my 2.5 bull-year-old. 3 years ago, last summer, one guy come and he made me a connection danger, like he must be some kind of high shot. Now this guy, I walk up at him, I says, Dai Bourgeois, how's everything? He says, oh, like that, you know, 60-40, must be for sure 200%. And I look close on his face, he's got a big beard, you know. He looks like a hippie. Yeah, a hippie, you know, it's a guy that looks like a Jill and smells like a John. But I look close and he's got a red uniform. And I figure he must be from the fire department. But he's not, because he's got some kind of animals there, you know. And I say, how's everything going? He says, oh, poor good, pretty busy tonight. I said, well, where are you going with those funny animals there pulling that's you know, like a sleigh, you know, but it has a caboose and you got the fire in the inside to keep your fruits warm so you don't freeze it. And he says, I'm going to Solofanchuk's. Could you give me directions? I says, no problem. Now, from here, you go to the main road. Now, you go past the 53rd correction line. You go 11 miles south. No, pardon me, chikay. You go 3 miles south, then turn right 4 miles. No, wait a minute, that's wrong. Katrina says, metro, other direction. You go 4 miles east and 7 miles south. No, sorry, Bob, I don't think so. I finally look at him and I say, you know, you just can't get there from here. He says, well, I'll try my luck. He says, I want to feed my reindeers. Reindeers? Ah, come on, you're pulling my leg. I said, that could be reindeers. He said, sure. I said, the only guy that got it as reindeers is Chris Kringolovich, Santa Claus. Sure. He said, well, that's I am. I says, come on, you're making a danger to my head. You're pulling jokes, you little devil. No, but he jumps in those, how you call it, sleigh, and he shouts out their names, you know, like Mary, Nato, Olga, Nick, Walter. Jump away to the